Hey there, it's Walter Montero. Welcome to this week's edition of the Real Estate and Mortgage Show. This week, of course, we're covering step two of the 6 steps in the home buying process. So, step two is the evaluating your needs step. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that, and let's start right off with the subject at hand. Obviously, evaluating your needs is you're going to have to determine what you're actually going to be shopping for. Now that you've got a figure in mind from your mortgage broker in terms of what you qualify for, now you've got an actual budget in terms of what you can go out and shop for. Okay, so what I would suggest at this point, before you start going looking through houses and just going out and trying to find a needle in a haystack, the best thing to do would be to sit down with your realtor of choice and evaluate your needs. Okay, and through that whole process, you're going to determine how many bedrooms you need, how many bathrooms you need, the location that you're looking for, that sort of thing. One thing to keep in mind when you're evaluating your needs is don't just look at your needs today. You have to try and be a bit of a fortune teller here in terms of, or a, being able to predict the future in terms of what your needs are going to be like in maybe 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. Because obviously you want to be able to be in a situation where you accommodate the changes in your life. Moving is expensive. Okay, you've got real estate fees, you've got legal fees, you've got land transfer tax, possibly have mortgage penalties, that sort of thing. So you want to buy a little bit more in terms of being able to accommodate your future needs. Okay, so when you're evaluating your home, obviously you're going to have to take into consideration the style of the home or the features that you want the home to have. Whether you want a two-story or a bungalow or a back split or a side split or that sort of thing, whether you need a garage or not. Obviously, having a garage is great in terms of putting your cars in the garage. What's really funny is when we're out showing properties, almost nobody puts their cars in the garage. They put their junk in the garage. Okay, so if you're somebody that has a lot of toys or tools and that sort of thing, you're going to need a place to put it. One thing you also want to determine, of course, is the age of the house in terms of what is an acceptable age bracket for your home. So, in other words, how old is too old? There are certain things that you should be aware of. Like there are certain vintage homes that are known for specific problems. Okay, for as an example, homes that are typically built in the 70s tend to have a very high likelihood of the home having aluminum wiring. Okay, so you may have your different opinion on aluminum wiring, but it is what it is. It's something that you've got to take into consideration when you're buying a house with aluminum wiring. You have to get somebody, a professional, to have a look at it, make sure it's safe. The ideal situation would be to ask the seller for an electrical safety authority ticket, so an ESA ticket. All right. So, there are certain vintages, as I said, that are known for certain characteristics. In the Kitchener area, around the Dune area, there's a lot of homes in that area built with Kitech plumbing. Kitech plumbing has been a real issue in terms of, possibly having leaks in the house. So you certainly, want to be aware of those sort of things. The other thing, of course, is you want to make sure that your needs coincide with each other. Okay, and what I mean by that is, if you're looking for something newer, then you have to take into consideration that the lot may not be that big. Okay, especially in our Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo area here, homes have been getting bigger and they've been putting them on smaller lots. Okay, so if you're looking for a newer home with a large lot, well, then you have to be prepared to, pay that extra premium because newer homes typically don't have large lots. Okay, of course, you want to make sure that you're clear on the proximity to amenities such as shopping and schools and churches. If there's recreation centers around, swimming pools, what kind of amenities are there in the park? Are they equipped with tennis courts or basketball courts? These are all things that you've got to take into consideration, of course, and that should be communicated to the realtor you're dealing with. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about as far as needs coinciding with each other is certain styles of homes and certain locations. Okay. So if you're looking for a particular style of home that isn't common in a location of your desire, then obviously a realtor is going to know that. They're going to tell you that, hey, hey, that's great, but in the location that you're looking for, that style of home is not typical. Okay, public transportation, very important to some people, especially if you've got teenage kids, in terms of them getting to school or to their part-time jobs, that sort of thing. You want to be aware of where those things are. The one thing, speaking of schools, the one thing that I want to make particularly clear is that you've got to be clear on the school of your choice being the where your home is located, that you can actually put your child in the school of your choice, because there are some areas that are very restrictive in terms of letting kids into their school that live outside of that district. Okay, so you've got to be aware of that. I'll give you an example. Holy Spirit School in Cambridge, for example, is a very popular school, but they are very specific about only people that live in that area, in that catchment area, can go to that school. Okay, so there are other schools that are more tolerant to that. There are schools that are less tolerant to it. So you need to know about those things. In terms of what you're going to do with that, the realtor of your choice, I would highly recommend that you enter into an agency agreement with that realtor. Okay, and I would also suggest that you pick a local realtor wherever you're dealing. If you're dealing in Cambridge or Kitchener-Waterloo, obviously, yeah, the realtors in our area tend to know the area very well. But one thing that always puzzles me is when you've got a buyer that's coming in from, say, Toronto or Georgetown, or what have you. They come into this area and they're licensed to do so because they're licensed to sell real estate in Ontario, but they're not familiar with the characteristics of the area. Okay, so it always puzzles me that people do that, but you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not going to know what certain areas are known for, what type of occupants are in an area. Is it high? Is it a high owner occupied area, or is it more tenant occupied, and that sort of thing? Is that going to even make a difference to you or not? Quite honestly, somebody from out of town is not even going to know where the area is known for crime or for drug use. They don't know any of that. So hooking up with a local realtor, he's going to know that, or she's going to know that. The local amenities that are involved, the pluses and minuses of a different neighborhood. Sometimes the shortfalls, like there's certain areas here in town that happen to have contamination issues with the soil, and you want to have those things properly addressed in an agreement. Somebody coming from the outside, they're very likely not going to know that. Okay. Another thing, of course, is whether when you deal with one realtor, they're going to know values. They know the values of home. These people sell homes for a living, so they're going to be able to properly consult you on the value of homes, the marketability of homes, that sort of thing. And when you commit to a realtor, that realtor is now committed to you. Okay, the pressure's off in terms of them trying to sell you something before their competitor does. And when you make a commitment to a realtor, the realtor is going to give you 110% service. Okay, because commission is no longer on the table in terms of it being an issue. Okay, some homes offer 3% commission to the cooperating brokers. Others offer 1% commission to the cooperating broker. When you have a buyer agency agreement in place, the compensation is predetermined, and it no longer becomes an issue as to what homes are going to be worked on with your realtor. Okay, I mean, let's face it, folks, realtors work on commission. All right, so you've got to take that factor off the table, all right, in order to be able to be properly serviced. Okay, so you agree on the commission up front. 9 times out of 10, I should say 99 times out of 100, the realtor is paid by the proceeds of the listing. Okay, but from time to time, it falls outside of that. And if the home that suits you best falls outside of those parameters, then by all means compensate your realtor. They've done a job for it. Okay, case in point, I was working with some people last week. We were having a hard time finding them a place because of the price range that they were buying in, and it was just very robust. They lost out on a couple of offers. I found a private for sale I found it. Okay. I went out, looked at it, took my buyers through it. They bought the property. Okay. And compensation was properly handled because we had a buyer agency agreement in place. See, these are the benefits of making a commitment to an agent. You don't make a commitment to an agent, well, then you get what you get. Okay. But if you make a commitment to an agent, that will pay you back in spades. That'll pay you back in spades. All right. Now, the one thing that I just want to make sure that you don't do, make a commitment to a realtor, especially, don't look at properties unless you go out with the realtor that you've made a commitment to. All right. The last thing you want to do is be calling listing agents all over town to show you a property and then have an offer come in through the buyer agent. That's just not fair to the listing agent. And quite honestly, it doesn't do you any good either because the realtor you've hired is there to properly consult you. The listing agent may be just pitching you on why you need to buy this property. Okay, so just make sure when you're out looking at property that you go through your particular agent. All right, I think I've beaten that horse this week, and if you have any questions, just feel free to give us a call anytime. Hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of the Real Estate and Mortgage Show. If you have any real estate questions, please direct them to me at 519-624-9222 or walter@maximumresults.ca, or you can find me online at www.cambridgehouses.com. If your interests are in mortgages, please feel free to call 519-624-9222 or email Karen@maximumresults.ca, or you can find her online at www.m as in Mary, R as in Roger, financial.ca. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a great week.